We will be recording this. We'll be sharing it with some folks who weren't able to join. So you might get a little thing on your screen saying that it's being recorded.
We should turn this on. The faces are brighter.
Hey guys, are you seeing my screen okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
It likely just went away and I'll be back in just 1 second.
What would the world be like if we didn't have visionaries who knew that the difficult could be accomplished?
The stated mission of the library is to help people of our community achieve their full potential through the transformative power of information, imagination, and ideas. We're announcing today a $1 million campaign for Middletown Free Library.
Why would a township invest in a project like this? We're entrusted as community leaders to invest in the right things. This is absolutely the right thing. This is a facility that's a destination. This team, led by Mary at this library, has created parking problems at our township building like you've never seen. But it's investing in the community, and we think elevating the purpose by making this facility available and then making sure that it grows. So you're all going to be a big part of that.
I am pleased to report that we have pledges and gifts totaling $718,406 already pledged and gifted. So that is awesome. That is great momentum. We would love to thank the Henderson Foundation because $300,000 came from them. Awesome.
I'm here representing the Wilbur C. and Betty Lee Henderson Foundation. It is an honor, it is a blessing, and we are very, very happy, to support this project here for relocating the library. Given the scope, given the roots, it was really a pretty easy sell to make it a yes, in terms of yes, we would look forward to supporting this kind of a project.
Out of that number, there are 650 donors. So there's a lot of momentum going on with raising money for this program, and that is why everyone's here. And it's a special project for this community, and I'm blessed to be part of it.
We just want to thank the library team for making Middletown that much better of a place to live. So thank you very much.
Hey, Mary, do you want to walk us through our agenda for today?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Mary Gazdick. I'm the director of the library, and I want to welcome you all and to our sneak peek of our new library at the Roosevelt Community Center. We're all really excited about the project, and it's exciting going to the construction meetings every couple weeks and seeing how much progress is being made. So tonight we're going to hear from some people who have been with the project since pretty much the beginning, helping us realize our vision for the new library that I think is going to be a really great part of what's happening at the Roosevelt Community Center and for the people of Middletown Township. So first up, we have Mark Kirkasser. He's on the Township Council. He's the president of the council, and he's going to walk you through the township's vision for the Roosevelt Community Center and the library's place there.
Thanks, Mary. It's long been a tenet in Middletown Township that the library has been a tremendous resource for our community, and it started very small, and in terms of footprint, it's somewhat stayed that way. Dave Irving and I have talked for years about different options that may be available to not just expand the library, but perhaps give it a properly sized facility that would match the size and the energy and the growth of what the libraries come to in the Middletown community. Our library is a choice that our residents make to go to. It's not an option. People seek out the library. It's a destination. And what the team has built there has defied what you would logically think a library or a resource like a library can become in a community. With all the information that's available, people could easily defer, but they make the choice to go to Middletown Library. And as I mentioned in the video earlier, it's created issues for us in our facility, our township facility, not just in terms of the square footage of the library, but parking. It's literally an issue for us on a daily basis. Dave has worked with the council and then on to other leaders of the library consistently about what options could be for expanding the footprint. And Norm Shropshire came up with an idea a few years back that he shared with me and suggested that we take what was becoming a neglected facility, the former Roosevelt Elementary School, and turning it into something much bigger in terms of purpose and bigger in terms of providing a community facility for residents on the southern side of the township. The state, in the form of Chris Quinn, our state representative, stepped in, gave us some seed money to get it started. And before we knew it, we had an option to move forward in repurposing that space and turning it into a building that can serve as something that can finally match the energy and the size of the staff and the library board and the Friends of the Library have created all of these years. So what do we end up with? Well, we end up with something that's properly sized finally to put this library inside of. The space, a well-resourced facility, and what we get is a chance to combine finally that properly sized facility with the talent that the library team brings to the library and creates this wonderful facility and this wonderful place for our residents to go to. So we're incredibly grateful as a township that we're able to make this conversion, and it's fun, very fun to watch this thing begin to take shape. It's laying around in parts, and they tell me that's a good thing. So we are on schedule, and we're very excited to make sure that this library becomes a huge part of the Roosevelt Community Center, which becomes a huge resource for the members of the Middletown Township community. We're obviously very excited.
Great. Thank you so much, Mark. Okay. Up next, we're going to hear from Scott Erdy and his team. So I remember when we first went to go over and look at the Roosevelt School before, just to kind of see like, oh, might this be a good place for the library? And Scott and some of his team were there and presented us with this amazing vision for a library and what a library could look like at the facility. So it's been exciting working with him these last few years, and to see it come to life and be close to moving in has been really great. So thanks so much, Scott, and take it away.
Thanks, Mary. It's been a great opportunity. I'm a resident of the township, so I'm actually quite close to the Middletown, the new Middletown Center, which will be the home of the library. So the Roosevelt School I've driven past, for many years, and it was a great investment. Me saying that as a taxpayer of the township, that it's a great thing to keep something that has so many rich history memories for so many people. The guy down the street, Jamie, who is a friend of mine who lives a couple doors from me, he went to school in both buildings. So it's really interesting to be a part of a continuing of the history of the place. So it's great that to have this opportunity to work on the library. I think it's so important, the education that the library gives, because it's both informational education, but it's also tactile information. I think that you all have been to the library, and it's like this wonderful place of things that children can and adults can investigate and discover and understand. So I'm going to give you guys an update about what we've been up to. So you see the vision on the screen here, and it goes all the way back. The Roosevelt School was added on to in 1959 with this mid-century modern building by Clifford Gardner. It's actually a pretty known building. It's in the archives at the University of Pennsylvania. It's funny, here's a model of that, and you can see the building in contrast to the old building on the left and this little walkway that connects the two. You can see a series of skylights in the middle there. And one thing you can see here, which was never built, is this big Pentagon building here. That was the library that was planned. And it's really interesting that that library, which was never built until now, is part of the new history of the place, where the library is actually going to occupy not only the ground floor of the building, but also where you see the school bus parked under there. So it's really interesting to see some of these old drawings. However, like Mark mentioned, it did go through a period of disrepair. This is like one of my student photos when I was traveling through Czechoslovakia in the 80s, but this is actually our township. So it's a great resource that's been preserved. It got quite run down, and it's really bare bones, and it takes a lot of vision. So working with Bob and Mary and Parag to understand what that could be and think about how you could really give life to a new building. And there were some beautiful photographs taken by Philip Gabriel that really show like this sense of time that's gone past, where it's forgotten about the West Wing of the Roosevelt School. So in what we're doing now, we're trying to preserve as much as we can, not only because of the history it embodies, but also because of how much money it can save, right? So being very cautious with the money that we're spending, we're really going to get essentially a new building once this is finished. So we're reusing the bones, all the embodied energy from an environmental standpoint that is in there is being reused and repurposed. So it's a really great asset that's going to go and continue on for the next 100 years for the township. So if you see the old building at the top of the frame, you see the old stone building there, and this newer building, 1959 be it. And what we're doing is we're recladding that. The entire skin, the roof and the skin, as you guys all know, is going to be new. You'll see that there are skylights on the top now that we've centered over a new lobby. And the connecting wing between the old and the new building is really going to be a wonderful space where you can come together, collaborate, have functions, different things like that. You'll see an amazing courtyard. I saw Lisa Dombrowski on here. There's an amazing courtyard out here that will be part of the indoor-outdoor space. There's going to be a garage door that opens directly out to that courtyard. So events that can happen in there are going to be able to flow inside to out. So with that construction, so this is a picture I took this morning. So it's super exciting as an architect to listen to everybody's dreams and wishes and needs and try to put form to that. So this is the morning here where the guy on the right without the hard hat was trying to figure out how to get the guy on the left to get that thing to fit on there so we could look at it real fast, so that Nate Bartlett from our team and Drew Kometz we could approve it, right? So as we go through this, we are spending your money very wisely to make sure all these pieces are put in together in a way that's going to be long lasting. So you see some pictures from this morning, even the guy on the ladder here talking about how we're going to detail. So during construction, you oftentimes mock things up. So before we build all of that, we build a little bit of piece of that where we work with the contractors and the subcontractors to really figure out how that's going to work. If you've driven by, you've noticed that the skin, that old green skin curtain wall, that was actually cutting edge at its time. 1959, it was one of the first curtain wall buildings, certainly in the area, if not in the state. So it's a very interesting construction type that was very advanced for its time. And so now we're looking at recladding this. And you can see from this morning, that's Drew with his back turned to you. He goes to every meeting with his Bible, which is actually the code book. So, books go through both the architect and the librarian's fingers. And you also see Nate there on the picture. So Nate has been responsible for handling a lot of the submittals and making sure that the information. So everything that we draw, the contractor draws again, and then we look at it, we make sure it's in conformance with what everybody purchased. So here you see Drew on site this morning talking about why his shoes are getting muddy and all that. But really, it's about a negotiation about trying to figure out how to get the best product for the library and for the township. You see like some of the construction going on, some of the raw materials on the right, some of the conduit for the structural. This is actually Jason's office right behind that little piece here. That is Jason's going to be Jason's office where he'll be able to look out into the children's space of the room. And it's interesting. So this building from its era, there's a lot of terrazzo. The children's library will have terrazzo in it from the existing building. So the rest of it, we're looking at different color samples to try to match that. And probably the biggest impact that we're making is we cut a hole through the building and put skylights at the top. So that daylight will come down above the desk, above the main circulation desk, and greet people as they come in from the west, also coming in from the east. So it's really going to be a transformational part of that project in really this double height space of this. And just to give you a sense of all the things we're coordinating, Vince from the township is doing a great job keeping all the things ordered. Domus Construction is helping advise it, and Urig is also working on the actual monitoring of all the trades. But it's quite a complex business. And if you can imagine this is just one little corner of this drawing right here. So this one little piece, you see there's like, 100 or so of these wires. And this is Drew trying to figure out which ones to make sure they all go to the right place. So Drew, if you want to give a high-level construction overview of where we are in this process, it would be probably a great thing that people would love to hear.
Sure. So we kicked off the project a little later than expected, given some of the goings on in 2020, but we started the project without a ceremonious groundbreaking in late summer. And, there's a lot of steps to the process here. If you've been able to navigate around Aqua's water main construction in South Old Middletown Road, you might have seen it, not making much exterior progress in the beginning as they were working on interior demolition. And then in the recent months here, conveniently in the middle of winter, they undertook a lot of the exterior demolition, taking down that old curtain wall on the second floor that Scott was talking about. And if you've looked at it today, or some of these photos we're showing you from our latest site visit today, the enclosure is starting to go back up. So that's really excited. We're kind of approaching, they think that enclosure will go up pretty fast in the enclosure on the first floor. So we'll have a watertight exterior pretty soon here, and putting the interior together should be a couple more months. So sooner than later, we will have the project put together. And it's been really excited, obviously working on the project here for a while, to see our drawings on a page come into reality. And like Scott said, working with the team has been great, both the construction side and the owner library side, to bring it all together.
Thanks, Drew. So you can see it's a complicated business, and I think that the process of construction is sometimes messy, but you'll see like the transformational notion, what you try to do is to really bring a space. So you see that red dot on the screen, that's where we've cut this large hole, which will ultimately be part of a sitting area, a reading area around this central atrium. And you see at the far side of the screen, the maker space, which will be at the top of the stairs. You see that opening, which will unite the top and the lower floor together to be an important part. So, as it looked like just a week or so ago, now it's going to look more like this, where you see that stair leading up to the maker space. You see the front desk. And I saw Bach on here, and we're very excited about Bach, who, if you know him, wave Bach to everybody so they can see you. He's an amazing artist. And I think that a woodworker, there's many woodworkers that are quality carpenters, but Bach is a true artist. And I think that this desk that he's going to fabricate for this will be an amazing part of the history of the library. So looking forward to that. Some other views here, there's going to be places for kids to work on computers. That's what it looked like just not too long ago. It's going to look like this with open shelving and the idea of a teen space, side spaces along there, offices along the side for library staff, and some meeting spaces. And it's going to have a real variety of things. And you can see, like right now, it looks like chaos, but I will say this, it's ordered chaos where everybody on that site knows what they're doing and knows what they're going and what their next piece is going to be. So here's a little bit of the children's library, which have a lot of light. And here's what it looks like now. That'll be right behind this image will be Jason sitting there, keeping an eye on the kids. And Lynn's going to do a great job showing some of the furniture that we've been talking about. But it's really been a process that's quite exciting to see the transformation. For instance, this is that connector. And if you've been in this space, a very narrow and low connector with a series of small rooms on the right that you see. What we've done is we've worked with the existing building. We put a beam across there, and it's really going to open up. So now it's going to be one continuous space between those two areas to really create a place like this where you can sit together, have a cup of coffee, read a book, talk to your neighbor, and have that garage door open up for an event to have indoor, outdoor space. And you see the backside, there'll be a small kitchenette there behind the main circulation desk, and then the main space of the volume of the atrium just beyond. So all these things which are hard to vision sometimes are going to be quite beautiful. We're working on the maker space as well, which will be very exciting. And that's the thing that impressed me most with what Mary had done in the library was this idea. It's not only reading or an intellectual engagement, it's a physical engagement. So all the maker bots that she has will have a true home now and space to work. So you see that up at the top right-hand side of the stairs. We're working with the University of Pennsylvania right now to do a sculpture that's going to be made from actually some of the bigger technology so that the kids will be able to see what is the outcome of what they're learning in terms of that maker space. So that wall that we have here will be made of actually sculptural pieces, which will be cut like that. And you'll see a little video to understand how that all works. So it's super exciting. We appreciate the opportunity. As a member of the township, I couldn't be more excited about the fact that this asset, which was laying fallow for so long, is now going to become a vibrant part of the community and a part of the teaching of our next generations in Middletown Township. So Mary, I'll send it back to you, I think.
Great. Thanks so much, Scott. So now we saw kind of the architectural vision of the library and what that's going to look like. So next, we're going to hear from Lynn Godshaw of GCI Studios. She's our interior designer who's been working with us on picking out furniture and fabrics and making the interior space of the library something that will be welcoming and comfortable for everybody who comes and visits the library. And we're really excited. I think we have a really nice design that meshes well with the mid-century modern era of the building and what Scott and his team have envisioned to really complement what they're doing. Are you ready to go, Lynn?
I am.
Great, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm honored to be here this evening, and I wanted to let you know I had the privilege of joining Mary's team with Mary in Prague probably about a year and a half ago. So not as long on the team as the architectural group, but certainly long enough to get to know the direction that Mary, who you all know is extremely capable. I've been privileged to get to know her individually. She has set out some what I feel are outstanding goals for us as we begin to furnish the library space. We talk about the shell of the building, the amazing job the architectural firm is doing to create that space. And then one of the last pieces is, what are we filling the space with other than the fantastic books, et cetera, that come with the library? Mary set out goals for our team, and a couple of them that rose to the top that are very significant for us at GCI when we're helping someone plan furnishings are inviting. Of course it wants to be inviting. It's a library. I personally love libraries, as do many, many people in our communities. We want to walk in that door, and not only will the architecture be exciting, but we want the furnishings to be inviting and welcoming. We also require, we as a team, require things to be durable and cleanable. Very, very important. Especially in today's society, we want to make sure over the last year, things can be cleaned up very easily without harming the products themselves. It's very important to understand that when you're specifying furniture for a commercial space like this. And then lastly, one of the goals that Mary made very clear to us was Many of the pieces that we're looking to place inside our new library need to be flexible. Libraries offer a lot of opportunity. You heard that in the beginning video for learning, information. There are many types of people that visit a library. Our furniture wants to be flexible to reflect the opportunities that the library is offering. So why don't we take a look at some of our furniture pieces that we're hoping to put in the library. And these are called storyboards for those of you that may not be familiar with this type of presentation. What you're seeing on the screen first is some of the furniture, many of the pieces we're putting in the adult section of the library, the main part of the library. Once you would come in from the main doors, and I think I'm going to guess that that might be on the west side, into that gorgeous two-story atrium, you will glance to the right immediately when you walk in, and you will see the adult section of the library. One of the key pieces that we identified early on, and again, I think Mary's direction was right on here, you'll see at the top middle, right above the tag that says adult library, there are several sort of conical or circular type little work pods. We actually had a sample of one of these at the current library, and it was met with resounding success by everyone who saw it. These are little individual work centers. Little did we know a year and a half ago that this is certainly going to contribute to social distancing practices. Hopefully we won't have to do that for the next, at least past the next year. But it's a very nice sort of semi-private little space for an individual to do work, reading, etc. To the right of that center little pod space, you'll see a double sort of booth or pod area. We're going to also provide a couple of dual pods, which will be for more than one person, presumably, and will promote collaboration among several people. Just below that, you see kind of a high-sided chair, if you will. This type of seat has become very popular. It's for sort of snuggling back in, giving you a little bit of a sense of respite from the world around you, provides wonderful acoustical properties, and it's really just a wonderful chair to sit and read in, honestly. The chair at the bottom center of this slide is a terrific quality lounge piece, and these will be located around the perimeter, all around the area where our book stacks are, so that a person or persons can just grab a comfy lounge chair, have their book or periodical or paper, and enjoy a beautiful view, if I might say, out of the many windows that are in the main library space. And then to the bottom left are just a couple more of the seating and table arrangements we're going to be placing in the adult section of the library. Some of the colorful blocks that you see on the storyboards, all of them as we go through them, are simply the fabrics and finishes that are attached to some of the pieces on these storyboards. I think we can go to the next slide. This is representative of our teen area. And as Scott was going through some of his slides, you may or may not have glanced at, they have a wonderful slide that I caught that has a, I'm going to call it just a beautiful, soft kind of orange tone color representing the teen area. I'm going to pause and say it was very important to our team here at GCI Design, and certainly directed by Mary, that we link very, very closely with the interior design package that the architectural firm is putting together. So all of the things you're going to see on our storyboards tonight connect beautifully with the color package offered by the architectural firm. If I might point out on the teen area, something that's important for this age group is certainly eye-catching. It needs to have a sense of fun to it. We want to draw teens into this space. We're going to be offering them an area of sort of relaxed lounge seating. You see that in the sort of bottom center of the storyboard. Also, the top corner, the top right corner, you see a circular seating space with a booth inside of it. We're going to be integrating technology and collaboration, another really kind of leading approach to this age group. It allows us, again, the flexibility of using the technology or not in that space. And we can certainly seat from 2, up to nearly a dozen people. So that's, I think, going to be very important as Mary rolls out some of the activities for this space. Something I want to point out that's extremely fun on this board, there is a pretty crazy looking artistic fabric in the bottom right corner. I don't know if any of you know, but there is a company called Art of Board. A gentleman began this company, I want to say maybe 10 years ago. I happen to know him, wonderful individual. This fabric is built off of the concept of recycled or reused skateboard decks. Art of Board is a company that took actual recycled skateboard decks and creates the most beautiful tiles, wood tiles. They're also moving into porcelain at this point, but they launched into a series of fabrics that are identical to the boards that they create. So this is called Art of the Board, and I think it'll be of fun and interest to the teens in this space. Can move to the next slide. Here's our makerspace. You saw the slide that Scott had up. I elected to put the floor plan on this board so that you could see the table arrangements in the makerspace. The most important thing really is to have surfaces that all the wonderful equipment sits on and that people are creating on top of. Mary was very intentional about selecting a table that is adjustable, very durable top surface, will give her a lot of flexibility in that space. And she was also instrumental in selecting the chair, which I absolutely love. It's in the center lower portion of the screen. Very popular chair among young folks. You can see there's a wire basket at the base for kids, teens, anybody really to put belongings in there, books, backpacks, so things can stay with them. And then that also becomes their chair. So the makerspace is a highly functional area. What we tried to do, as I just mentioned, was be flexible for the maximum collaboration we can get. We wanted durability, and we certainly wanted a little bit of fun in terms of the colors on the seats. I think we can go to the next slide. And then one of the most fun spaces in the library is the children's space. This was lots of fun to do. I wish I could show you 20 more things on these slides, but we've tried to give you a snapshot of what we're doing. Something that comes to mind as Mary and I worked through this was whimsy. We want things to be whimsical for the kids. We want the colors to be bright and light and eye-catching. And you can see that from some of the fabrics that are on the screen. You can see things like right underneath the word children's on the center tag is a little mobile tower that has a multitude of individual cushions in it. We're going to be providing probably 5 different colors. There'll be maybe a dozen in that tower, and they're completely durable, washable vinyls that are so fun that the kids will hopefully grab, put on the floor and listen to story time. The fabrics on the lower right corner, kind of a ochre shade and a beautiful orange. These will cover little ottomans that kids can sit on or lay on as they're occupying the space. You can also see to the right, there's a small, almost an auxiliary or the kids circulation desk, if you will, a tiny version of what might happen in the large atrium space. You see a rocking chair where an adult could snuggle with a child and read a book. In the top center, we're going to be providing a really interesting, fully curved front piece. You can see on the right, The curved part facing us in the main part of the children's library will house books. Then on the back side of it will be a booth seat. We won't be providing the table. That's simply how the picture turned out, but a booth seat so that adults or parents can sit on that seat right behind the large children's space where the kids are on the floor with their cushions. Fabrics here are easy to clean fabrics, very durable vinyls. Everything in this space needs to be able to be cleaned. And we wanted to provide ultimately, as soon as you walk in the door, this playful, relaxed environment for the children's library. So I think at this point that concludes my presentation. I hope you found the storyboards fun. Even if you picked out a couple things that make you feel good, we just expand that thinking of all of the furnishings that are going to occupy this space. Thanks a lot.
Thanks so much, Lynn. Okay, so up next, we are going to hear a little bit about the status of the campaign. We saw some in the video, Ken Klein talking earlier about where we were about a year ago. So thanks to the generosity of people on this call, we've come really far and we're really close to our goal. So up next is Ken Klein. He's the treasurer of our capital campaign committee, and he's going to update you on the status of our campaign.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Kenneth Klein. I'm the treasurer. I'm also the banker of the library at Republic Bank. Just want to thank, I'm looking here, you got 50 plus participants here, so I think that's pretty cool. So I just want to go back on the history of the campaign. Back when we kicked it off, we were at 718,000 in mid-2019, and things were going smoothly, and then good old COVID hit, and everything was kind of like the world was turned upside down, and people were just sheltering in place. So the campaign kind of stalled a little bit, but thanks to Tim Snyder quarterbacking the whole capital campaign, late 2020, early 2021, it got back into gear. And I'm happy to say that we're now up to $883,000 in pledges, and as of January 31st, of our 1 million. So we're looking for, if you do the math, it's 117,000, but we usually get about 40,000 from donations annually. So you're looking for about 75, 80,000. I would love to see more because, as you know, if you own a house or anything, things end up costing more and other things happen. So more is always better. But I want to talk about a few highlights. You know, in the video, we talked about the Henderson Foundation with the pledge of 300,000. It's my understanding that they're going to start paying on the pledge over the next 12 quarters, 25,000 each. So that's awesome because pledges are good, but money always works better. I would like to thank Betsy and her late husband, Frank Podrberic. They have donated over $120,000 or committed over $120,000 to the campaign. I believe that is outstanding. I'd also like to shout out to the Irving family, Dave and Barbara Irving and Philip and Diane Zinn, which pledged and committed over $50,000. And we cannot forget the Friends of the Middletown Library that also did $50,000. So thank you to everybody. I believe we're going to have a listing of the people who donated. We have many people who have contributed. We have 150 people who are first-time contributors to the library. There was a recent mailing that went out that we had over 24 people donate over $1,000. So we have to ask. If you don't ask for pledges, you don't ask for money, you're not going to get it. So the power of asking, I'm in banking, and the power of asking is if you don't ask for it, you're not getting it. So again, we would love to surpass the $1 million goal where there's a light at the end of the tunnel. We're getting close. And I just want to thank everybody and thank you for your support. People dug down deep in their pockets and made large contributions this year. So I appreciate it. And we appreciate it at the library. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ken. All right. So lastly, we're going to hear from our board president, Bob Fife, and he's going to wrap things up, and then we'll be available for question and answers.
Yes, good evening, everyone. I wanted to first tack on to a little bit of what Ken just mentioned. In particular, two people who have made very significant contributions to the library recently in terms of pro bono support. Tim Snyder, as Ken mentioned, is our campaign counsel. And he came to us a couple of years ago, and it's been the luckiest thing that's happened to us because, as Ken mentioned, we would never have been able to get nearly $1 million without his support and help. He's directed us the entire way. He's pushed us when we need to be pushed. And it can't be said enough that we would not be at $883,000 without Tim's support. And I want to thank another Tim, Tim and Marcia Sullivan. Not only have they pledged $20,000, but Tim is an attorney and he's doing all of our pro bono, all of our work for us pro bono for all the legal things we need that go along with our move in terms of negotiating the lease and getting all the paperwork done for that, the sale of the current building, et cetera. So I want to thank Tim Sullivan as well for both his pro bono support and his very large pledge to the library. Everyone on this call is here because you're a big supporter of the library. So everyone deserves a thank you. And I guess the building is coming along fantastically, and it's starting. You can start to see things that before used to just be a shell. Now you can see where things are going to go. You can begin to visualize things. And I can't wait to get it open. I know I've been on the board for 10 years. And since I've been on the board, we've been talking about getting a larger space for the staff and for our patrons. And it's finally coming around. And it looks like for sure this summer we will be moving in. So we've got a little bit more money we need to raise. As Ken mentioned, it's roughly $70,000 or $80,000 on top of our normal contributions. If you know someone that's interested in the library that may not have donated yet, please ask them to make a donation, and we'll be making a big push through the end of this year to close that gap. That's really what I had, and I want to open this up for Q&A and get both the architect and the interior designer to answer any questions you may have. So I guess, Mary, how do you want to request questions, via chat or people unmuting?
Hey, Bob, this is Parag. So if you have questions, you can feel free to put them in the chat. If you want to come off mute and ask your question, you can do that as well. If you want to raise your hand and we'll call on you, you can do that as well. We'll take questions however you'd like.
Bob, this is Dave Irving. I'm sure a question in many people's minds is what is going to happen to the current library? Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure. And before I do that, Dave, I want to make a personal thanks to your family. First of all, Dave had been on the board for 46 years, and he had been the president for 30 years when he stepped down, and we made him the trustee emeritus. And I think that's now probably totaling over 50 years that he's been involved in the library. He spearheaded the original expansion of the current building, and I'm sure that's why he's interested in what's going to happen to it. But also I want to thank his daughter Diane and her husband Phil. Not only have they come the longest way, but they have been our longest, biggest donors to the library. We created a $1,000 giving club this year, officially. However, Diane and Phil have been members of the $1,000 giving club for a few decades now. And it was the multi-$1,000 giving club. So a lot of thanks to them, and thanks for joining from Texas. And they've been out of state for a long time, and yet they continue to have been giving very, very generously over several decades now. So the answer to your question, Dave, the township is interested in purchasing the building to be used as a judge's office. So we are completing the sale of the building when the when we move into the new building, we'll be selling the existing building to the township.
Thanks, Bob. And there's a question from Lisa Dombrowski. Hey, Lisa, what's the timing of opening of the library?
Okay, I can take this. The building is going to be completed. The current schedule is for near the end of June, and it'll take us a few weeks to get our furniture in. And then we have hired a mover, a professional library mover, to move the books from the current library to the new library. So we're looking at most likely a July date, if all things hold well. That'll be July of this year. Some people would say July, which year? But no, it will be this summer. And we're right now on target for July.
Thanks, Bob. And Steve Wood is asking if solar panels have been considered. I know we've talked about that. So what can you share there?
Yes, we've definitely considered solar panels. They were not in the budget to put in the immediate build. At some of the construction meetings, I've asked specific questions. Can the roof handle solar panels? It's a great idea because it's, number one, it's a flat roof. Number two, it's got great exposure for southern exposure. And number three, it's a brand new roof, so it won't be needing to be done. If you put solar panels on a 20-year-old roof, then you only get a few years before you probably have to redo the roof. So that's a great question. We believe that we'll be hopefully raising money to put solar panels on the roof in the near future. So that is something that we are definitely interested in. Nate or Drew, or do you guys have any comments on that from an architectural standpoint?
Yeah, I could jump in here. Currently, the design and the construction of the building doesn't limit or restrict the use of any kind of solar panel. So we are flexible enough definitely to add them on at a later date.
Okay. And I guess, does that answer your question fully? So yes, they've been considered. Yes, they're possible. And we're going to move on them sometime in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you for those questions. If you have questions, come off mute like Steve did. Use the chat. We have Scott and the other team here from the architecture firm, Lynn from our furniture interior design team, Mary and Bob, of course, answer questions.
Are there other entities that are also using the Roosevelt building, or I don't imagine the library is using the entire space?
Mark, is Mark still here? Mark Kirkhouse?
Yeah, the answer is yes. Other entities, you can basically break Roosevelt down into two 18,000 square foot buildings. The original building circa 1920, and then what we used to call the new wing, 1957 wing, which will now be the newer wing, is another 18,000. And I think the library is going to occupy north of 75% of that space. So what we're using primarily the older wing for is community space. If you're a 501c3, we can make arrangements for your nonprofit group to use that is a community center type of orientation.
And in addition, the Middletown Historical Society has their museum.
Great point, thanks.
Yeah. Sue Muscanti is here from there.
Sue, you'll shoot me for not mentioning that. I apologize.
And I don't know if it's 2 rooms or 3 rooms. Sue, do you want to jump on for a minute and discuss what you've done in the old building?
What we have are 2 full classrooms and a smaller instruction room, in addition to a storage area and a small office and powder room, is what we take up in that first part of the building, which faces toward Knowlton Road. I'm not quite sure whether that's north or south or whatever. We have all the rooms full. We haven't been open since the restrictions but we're still working down there. And we're excited about the library coming because it's going to bring us a lot of attention and hopefully a lot more visitors, and we'll be able to provide more active participation for people. So we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, so when the museum does reopen, I strongly recommend that people, highly recommend that people go. It's I've gone to a couple of the different special exhibits they put together. One was the Boy Scouts, another one was Halloween from the past, and they really do a great job. It's very nicely done, very nicely put together, and it's all local things, so it's of specific interest to people from Middletown.
We did the big Franklin Mint program, if you recall that. That was the one that we did. We have an exhibit up right now on the mills in Middletown. So we do some interesting things. We try to rotate it as much as possible. We have some nice donations that we've received. Rail switch that was done by Barry Pinkwitz, and also now we're working on some major Black Horse Inn. We have the tile restored. So we have some upcoming things as soon as we can get moving again.
And we at the library are looking forward to collaborating with the Historical Society on programs and things like that.
That'll be good. Thank you.
Hey, Bob, I have a question. Would you be able to enter the library off of Middletown Road and cut past the fire company?
I guess the main entrance is going to be on
Old
Middletown Road, not 352. And there is an entrance from 352 that goes past the fire company. I believe it's got a chain across it right now. And I don't know what I guess, Mark, that's going to be a question for you.
Yeah, so the primary entrance will be South Old Middletown Road, although we are working to reimagine how entrance from 352 might work as well. It's not an ideal ingress egress. We're working to make it better.
I know there was talk of a traffic study and things like that, because it's, you're pulling onto a 2-lane in each direction, Route 352. That's relatively high speed there. So right. What we have always envisioned was people would be coming in off of South Old Middletown Road. But you know, there is the possibility, I guess, is the way we believe it.
Okay, thank you.
Lisa Dombrowski, would you like to discuss your foundation for a second?
Sure, thank you very much. So I'm the mother of Mark Dombrowski, who tragically passed away almost 3 years ago. And we formed a foundation in his memory, and have our focus is youth education, athletics, safety, and well-being. So focused on children. And I used to work at the Middletown Library with Jason in the children's area. So it's very dear to my heart, and I love hearing all this. And so a project that we're fundraising for is to do a playground at the library, which we've never had at Middletown. A lot of libraries around the area do have very nice playgrounds. So we know it would just be wonderful to have that. So we've been busy with fundraising. And of course, you know, we follow the timing of the library. So I doubt we would do anything until 2022, but that's what we're working on.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Looking forward to Mark's Park.
Thank you. It actually was Jason's idea to do this. So the credit goes to him for this great idea.
There is acreage near the library building, and I would think the recreation department, Mark Kirkasser, would be able to utilize that to bring people to the Roosevelt School area. Can you give any elaboration on how that might be used by the recreation department?
Yeah, so we envision it as a municipal campus. You know, we obviously have the volunteer fire department there as well, but it's about 6.9 acres for the total former Roosevelt School footprint. And we intend to make that public space, flexible space. We're looking at different use options, and we have, we were smart enough to employ Scott Erdy as a township resident to be the architect. We're going to be smart about employing other township landscape architect and design to make sure that we do the right thing with that space that's down there. We're trying to be cautious about how much we endeavor here, one piece at a time. We're very much looking forward to getting the library finished up, and then we'll go to that next step.
Well, pre-pandemic, there used to be Middletown Pride Day, I believe the name of it is. Is that correct, Mark?
That's correct.
And they used to hold it at the Penn State campus. But the last one they did was at the Roosevelt School, and it was highly successful. It had food trucks, a band. There was a museum presentation during the day, and then they had a winery truck and a beer truck, and that was a fantastic afternoon. I think it was April or May. That must be 2 years ago now.
Yeah. We're very much looking to get events like that and when we had in the midst of the heavy parts of the pandemic, not that any of it's been light, we did a movie night. The natural incline of the Roosevelt parking lot fed itself well to a movie screen. People did it as a drive-in. So we're going to continue to use that space and make it an important part of the different park and recreation options that we have in Middletown.
Talking about the space at the library, at the Roosevelt School, I know Susan Powell has sort of quarterbacked the idea of having a military veterans space at the front of the library, featuring the various military services. So that is something for the future also.
That's correct. And that's been sketch designed, and we're looking at different cost options to get that implemented, Dave. An appropriate memorial.
This is Jason here. I just want to know, have businesses closer to the new location been contacted in regards to donations or sponsorships? And then also, have the residents near the new location been directly informed of our move? Just speaking as someone who's working the front desk a lot and letting people know about the move, a lot of people say, oh, that's great, that's going to be a lot closer to me. I sort of wonder if more residents closer there who know would be willing to give to have the library closer to them.
From the capital campaign standpoint, we haven't targeted nearby residents as specifically, and any different than any other resident, although that's an interesting concept. And in terms of businesses, we've made requests for pretty much every business we can think of in Middletown. And we have gotten many to donate. So it's been fairly successful, but we could always do better, I guess is the key. And I know that I do know some residents in the area that we've spoken to that we've told them it's coming. And like you said, a lot of them are excited about that. But no formal plan in terms of alerting people in the area and specifically. So something we could consider.
You're on mute.
One of the challenges that we have with the new location, believe it or not, a lot of long-term residents of the area do not know where the Roosevelt School is located. And we also have the challenge of those people who live on the far side of the township, up near Lima Estates, who find the current library to be very convenient. We will have to educate them that it's only an additional mile to go down to the new location. So there is an educational process that needs to be done as we reopen.
Yes, one of my fears, Dave, is that we'll close the current library and people will still come and maybe even drop off their books in the slot. So we have talked about having to weld the book slot shut, the drop-offs shut, so that we don't have that happen and put a sign there. So yeah, that is a good point. It's closer for some people, further for others. There's a couple interesting things. We'll be closer to the Brookhaven area, and Brookhaven does not have its own library. Currently, we do get a relatively sizable donation from Edgemont, which will be continuing, we hope. And we will be asking Brookhaven if they'd be willing to contribute as well, just like Edgemont does, even though it's not literally their library. With the move down towards that side of Middletown, it kind of becomes their library a little bit. We should make a shout out here for the Wayside Market. They are directly across the street from the new library and the Roosevelt School Complex. And we have had a couple events there already, and they have helped us out quite a bit with providing ice and things like that, allowing us to store some things in the refrigerators that needed to be stored in refrigeration. And so they've been very good neighbors already. So, and if you haven't been to the Wayside Market, they've got excellent food for both breakfast and lunch. So. I'm flipping through the chats. They're going a little too quick for me here. Here we go.
Yeah, folks are already arranging a parade to go from the old library to the new library. So that
Yeah,
sounds like a fun idea.
We did the Google Maps, and it's a 3.1 mile distance as a walk. So I'm not sure if anybody knows that that's a 5K, and we could a race. Now, Mary did suggest, now I'm disagreeing vehemently with her, but she suggested a bucket brigade to move the books so that we take a book off the shelf, hand it to one person who's standing 10 feet away and hand it to that person, and have a string of people from library to library. I said that's not going to work. But Mary said we could save money by doing it that way instead of hiring a mover. So we're all about saving money. So. Let's see. Is John McMullen still here, still on the line, on the call? I'm going to take a quick second, if he is, to introduce. He's the new relatively manager.
Bob, I'm still here.
Do you want to say a couple words, John?
Sure. Thanks, Bob, and thanks to everybody that's been part of this endeavor at the new library. It's an exciting time for me as the new township manager to certainly come into this. I know how much work goes into an undertaking such as this, so it's a very exciting time for me to be part of this, and more importantly, the community to be part of this. So I'm looking forward to. I've kind of got my feet wet already, working with Mary and Bob, and getting caught up with the work that's going on at Roosevelt. So this is a really exciting time for the community. I know a lot of hard work has gone into this, so the township looks forward to continuing being a partner and working through this relationship with the library, and looking forward to many future successful years. So thank you.
All right, thank you, John.
Hey, Bob, I think we've covered all the questions in the chat.
Okay. Well, we're willing to stay longer and answer additional questions if anyone has one. If you want to make it a little less formal, just stick around. But we can wrap up the official portion of the event tonight. I want to thank Mary, Julia, and Parag for taking the reins on this and getting it set up. Thanks to Scott Erdy and his team, and for joining us. And let's see. Thank you to Lynn and for doing your presentation on the furniture. Thanks Ken Klein and Republic Bank for coming. And I guess thanks everyone for joining. We really appreciate your time and interest. And again, we'll stick around for answering questions, but we'll end the official event now. So thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Thank you, Bob. Have a great night, everybody.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you,
Bob.
everybody. Take care.
Looking forward to my office. Thanks, everybody.
No stink bugs.
Yeah, no stink bugs or spider lantern flies.
Good night.
Okay, I'll answer Diane's question real quickly. Middletown Township has a weekly email communication, and the library has our own weekly communication as well. In fact, we have, I guess, 3 of them, one for the overall library, one for the children's library, and one for the adult library. So we can get you signed up for that. If you're interested, you can call 610-566-7828, or go to our website and sign up.
Believe?
Yeah.
Okay.
You turn it off. You have to say leave. He's good. Tell me. Really good.
Parag, do you want to move it back to, oh, there's gallery view. There you go. I think we're dwindling down here to,
We are dwindling down. It looks like we've covered everyone's questions.
hello, Gary. Just saw that you just joined, or I just noticed that you joined.
Hey, I hadn't seen that Laura had joined us as well. Hey, Laura.
Yeah, well, there you are. Yeah, I guess before I was only able to see 4 people at a time. Now I can see, everyone that's in here. Well, again, guys, thanks for a great job setting it up. Appreciate it. And I think the community is going to appreciate the information as well. So.
Yep.
Great. Thank you, everybody.
All right.
Good.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you next time.
Take care.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Talk to you later.